Guys ready down there? Okay. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Delray Beach CRA meeting of August 22nd, 2023. It is 4 o'clock. If you could please call the roll.
Chair Frankel.
I'm present.
Vice Chair Burns.
Here.
Deputy Vice Chair Petrolia.
Here.
Commissioner Boylston.
Here.
And Commissioner Long.
Here.
May I have a approval of the agenda? Any changes, any deletions?
None. Motion to approve.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Vice Chair Burns.
Yes.
Deputy Vice Chair Petrolia.
Yes.
Commissioner Boylston.
Yes.
Commissioner Long.
Yes.
And Chair Frankel.
Yes. We are on to public comments. Anyone from the public, you are now welcome to come up to the microphone.
Chair.
Oh,
Sorry. Hi, Renee Jadison,
Oh, hi,
Executive
Renee.
Director.
You have a public
Hi.
comment?
No, I do not, but we have a presentation from Island Cove.
oh, okay, because it says skip on here, so whoever did the...
Sorry about that.
So
No,
please do the presentation.
there is a presentation. We have representatives from the Delray Beach Housing Authority, Shirley's here, and Smith and Hensley Affordable Housing Group.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
I'm Shirley Vazo, President and CEO of the Delray Beach Housing Authority and Delray Housing Group. I am happy to announce, to give you all an update of the Island Cove. This was a project that was was my passion, and the beautification that it has made in this area. I am going to introduce Michael Hensley from Smith and Hensley, and he will give you an update as far as the construction is concerned. Michael?
Sure. Hey everybody, good afternoon. Mike Hensley with Smith and Hensley Affordable Group. I'm sorry I couldn't bring anything. Our office has termites and is getting fumigated, so I had no access to printers, so I apologize for not bringing printouts of the units. But we're all in Delray, so anytime anyone wants to come see finished units, please come to the site, reach out to me, and we're happy to show you units. We'll have a ribbon cutting. Everyone will be invited. But as Shirley alluded to, we received a TCO on 2 of our buildings, which is 24 units. There's 60 units total, so we have 3 more buildings left to TCO and occupy. Right now, we project that all units will receive a TCO and begin to be occupied by September 30th, and that's what we've been tracking with the GC. Shirley and Jackie from DHG have been working really hard to get the tenants into these 2 buildings that have received a TCO. I think currently we're 100% occupied, right?
We have pre-leased all 60 units. We are so pleased because the families are desperately in need of housing. We have 4 families currently in hotels, and we are going to welcome them first, the 4 families that are in hotels this week. We are excited because it's 24 families that we're welcoming to the site. We're just pleased with the overall construction. Everything went smooth. Yeah. We had no interruptions. The units look amazing, and the families are excited about moving to the site. So I want to thank the board for collaborating with us in this partnership. If it wasn't for the CRA, we could not have done this project. So I want to officially thank you, and I welcome you all to have a tour. We will give you a tour of the units. They're beautiful. This is my pride, and I thank you.
Thank you very much. Any members of the board have any comments, questions?
Did you say it was 60 units total?
Correct, 60 units.
Okay, and so you're opening up 24, but you have 3 more buildings?
Yes, there's 3 more buildings.
So how many in each building?
12 units in each building.
Okay.
There's 42 bedrooms.
So we have 5 buildings then?
Correct.
Gotcha.
And a clubhouse,
All right.
3,500 square foot clubhouse with a pool.
Fantastic. Well, I can tell you that I just was stating before you came in here to Shirley, I drive by there all the time, and it looks fantastic. You guys did an awesome job. The outside looks amazing. I love all the plantings, and it really did elevate the area. Now, we just need to keep the semis off of the street and let them know that that's not where they're parking in the future. That's, should be reserved for, regular autos. Yeah. You guys did a great job.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And one more thing, if you all remember, we closed this transaction in June of 2022, and we're already complete and leased up on 2 buildings, which is crazy to think about given the market volatility, what's going on right now with construction costs and interest rates. So we're very fortunate this project got completed on time and within budget.
And we're looking forward for the next project.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody. Take care.
Good luck
Have a
with the
good one.
termites.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now according to my updated agenda, it is time for public comments. Welcome anyone from the public who would wish to speak. Now is your opportunity. Good afternoon.
Cynthia Ridley, 210 Northwest 2nd Avenue. I'd like to say personal thank to Renee for opening up the building with the conversation. It was live. And I just appreciate you for just being honest in your conversation. So I hope this will be something that you can continue with community. So thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing no one, public comment is closed. To the consent agenda. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved?
Second.
Moved and seconded, please call the roll.
Deputy Vice Chair Petrolia,
Yes.
Commissioner Boylston,
Yes.
Commissioner Long,
Yes.
Chair Frankel,
Yes,
and Vice Chair Burns.
Yes.
thank you. Old business, 8A. Renee, you're presenting discussion about the preliminary budget for this year.
Yes, thank you. So we've discussed the budget briefly at past meetings, but today we'll have a full presentation of the budget. Our finance director, Gina, is here, and she'll do some of the opening remarks and go through some of the crunching the numbers, and then I'll talk about some of the project as we go forward. And feel free to stop us if you have any questions or want to go over anything. We just want to make sure we go through this thoroughly. And this is still a draft. I believe the city is supposed to send us a few updated numbers that we don't have, and I'll notate those where I know that there's some things coming. But pretty much what you see is what we have for right now. But if we want to change anything, of course, this is the chance for us to be able to do that. All right, I'll turn it over to Gina.
Don't break it.
Hey, I know. It'll cost us money. Okay, so if you see on the first slide.
I don't think it's
here-
on.
Is it?
I think it's to get
Am I
closer.
too far away? Sorry. Okay, is that better?
It is,
Okay,
thank you.
Great. Okay, so if you look on the first slide, this represents the budget amounts by our 8 sub-areas of the CRA district. The first one being the Beach District, which we are budgeting not much of an increase here. It's a 0.1% of the CRA budget for by sub area. So the Central Core, we are budgeting 3.7%, and the West Atlantic area is 21.3%, and the Northwest neighborhood is 64% of the budget. The Northwest Federal Highway, as well as the Seacrest Ida, is less than 1% at 0.62% of the sub-area budget. And Osceola Park is at 1.3%, and the Southwest neighborhood is 8.2%, for a total of $74,859,333. And on the second slide, it's the same information, just the presentation is just for a visual, better visual of the overall budget for the sub area. Any questions so far?
Any questions?
Okay. So this next slide represents the Clean and Safe program budget. For an overall budget here of $4,067,060 for an increase of 12.3% over the current fiscal year budget. And in this area, we are providing for 10 police officers, 2 sergeants, as well as the Police Health Trust, Workers' Comp, and General Liability Insurance. A portion of it, not all of it. And also the T3 patrollers, and the police technology, and the wrap restraints. And under this, under the police technology is also including cameras in our area. We also have 2 streetscape supervisors, 2 code enforcement officers, and 5 general maintenance workers, and 1 administrator for the maintenance, for a budget of $3,751,204.
So I'm going to stop you because I did have a comment here that I'd like to share with my colleagues. That I spoke to the executive director yesterday, and I actually emailed the city manager and the city attorney on Sunday about something that occurred with me Sunday afternoon when I was meeting with friends between about 4:30 and 5:15 Sunday afternoon. I met friends in the 100 block of East Atlantic Avenue across from the Cornell Museum. I was aggressively asked for money 3 times. One person went into the restaurant and wouldn't leave until they got food or water. And then the third individual attempted to grab drinks off our table. Now this is off season. This is Sunday at between 4:30 and 5:15 this all occurred. Not to mention, I believe I saw a drug deal right in front of the Cornell Museum and a gentleman riding away on his bike because I saw an exchange of money. We have a serious problem in our city. And I called Renee because I wanted to know about Clean and Safe. And she said, yeah, it's CRA funds it. It's about a little over $4 million. And I'm thinking to myself, on a Sunday afternoon off season, when I'm meeting people on Atlantic Avenue, it's not safe to dine outside. I didn't feel clean or I didn't feel safe. We have a huge problem, and we spend so much time talking about tourism and bringing people downtown. This is the biggest detriment, in my view, that we have. We now have regularly people sleeping on the beach, even though we have beach hours. We have individuals taking over bathrooms and not letting other people in because they're doing laundry. I would recommend to everyone here, go down the street on a Saturday or Sunday afternoon, see what happens to you. If we're funding $4 million, this is unacceptable. So I bring this not to go after funding, because it's certainly very, very important, but we hear of programs and things that the city does to help those that are in need. And I think that's very, very important. However, on a Sunday afternoon, I'm just one person. Can you imagine people coming in from other areas? They will never come back to Delray if that happened to them. So I'm just hoping by sharing this story, and I shared it with the city manager and city attorney, and I know the police staff was alerted, our chief is away, we need to do something about this. So I don't know what the proper request would be or whatnot, but if we're funding $4 million, we need a patrol, individuals walking downtown. Certainly the DDA security officers do help. I actually did see, they do a monthly report, and I did see their report from last month, and while they did cover a lot, I could argue it could have been covered in a weekend, because I just see it all the time in all hours. So I just wanted to put that on the record, and hopefully, Renee, we can maybe set a meeting with those who are funded, because those monies, in my view, need to be appropriated a little bit better.
So, question, I'm shocked, and I have to tell you, the fact that you were approached out of everybody else out there, it says to me that it's not unusual, to have hit you out of everybody. So I think that it's probably something that's ongoing. So the question I have is, we have police officers that we're paying for, technology, we've got code enforcement officers that we're paying for. Is that all for downtown? Because, yes. Okay, so are we really seeing those officers downtown doing what we're paying for?
Well, I guess that's the issue.
And my question is that if we're doing this as a fungibility for the city, that's not going to help the downtown corridor. If we're paying for it, it needs to be happening in that area that we have outlined here.
Right.
Period. It doesn't go outside of that. So I don't know if that's happening that way, but I think it's something that we need to check into, because I agree with the chair that we're spending a tremendous amount of money to have a clean and safe area in the downtown corridor, and it sounds like it's anything but as far as your experience is concerned, and I'm sure others.
I can't imagine a Friday or Saturday night at 11 o'clock. This was Sunday afternoon between 4:30 and 5:15. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's okay. I was going to say, well, this is the clean and safe map, so they are supposed to stay in this district. Mm-hmm. I know when we have the code violations, we actually get quarterly timesheets, and logs of where people go through the quarter so we can see the addresses of where they're going. I'll have to check with PD because I don't think we have the same register, but this is supposed to be enhancing. So it's supposed to be 10 officers on top of whatever the city would normally be providing. So there should be some sort of visible presence. I know that the camera program that the police is starting up is supposed to try to help with some of this. The real-time crime center is what it is. So they're supposed to have cameras in these strategic locations, and I think they're starting with that area, like in Swinton, and going in that core old school square area. So that's supposed to try to help that because they can actually zoom in and see much better because right now they don't have that capability.
May I ask a question? Maybe
Sure.
it would be appropriate, I don't know if it is, to maybe at the next meeting or a meeting down the road, invite the Clean and Safe lieutenant to maybe
definitely.
have a conversation about it?
I'll ask everyone to come. They can come to the next meeting because our budget, that's when we'll be approving our budget, so we can kind of just have a meeting and have them outline a little bit of what's been happening and share these stories with them before we get the fiscal year started.
And we do have a panhandling, law that's in effect.
Aggressive panhandling,
That
yes.
actually, it sounds like it was violated with you.
Well,
If
3
there-
times.
Yeah, so
Right.
that should be taken into consideration too, because if we have that on the books and nobody's enforcing it, what is it, it's not helpful.
And we did spend a lot of time and a lot of money.
A lot of money to
on
get that there,
so.
yep.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry to interrupt, but please go ahead.
No, that was perfect. No, it's all good.
Thank you. Thank you for hearing me out.
Okay, so the next piece of the clean and safe amount, which we is the reimbursable amounts. So that's even the pressure cleaning and then general maintenance expenses, lighting, trash cans, and garden landscape, and that's a total of $315,000, which is part of the $4 million that we give them. All right, so you skipped it. Okay. So the city contractual services is an increase of $29,333 from the current fiscal year, which is up 4%. And the total contractual services with the city is $858,310. Yeah, you can go to the next slide. Okay. Yeah, and the city has requested maintenance and beautification. Curb appeal, we set at $600,000. We put additional funds in this line item to encourage more people to come and apply. I know you've added the new fencing availability to the people, so we did add to that. And then we have $100,000 for the streetscape for a total of $700,000.
I'll just add one thing with the streetscape maintenance. So this is an ILA that is supposed to help with the ongoing landscaping irrigation for projects that we've done in the city right of way. So there's a whole list that's with that backup that I believe it's expiring in a few years. I know we've renewed it a few times in the past. So once that comes up for renewal, maybe in a year or two, we would determine if we want to keep that going or not. It's paying like water bills. Some of them are pretty small amounts. So I think we should look at that at some point and see if there's still a need to keep going. Because I think we've probably been funding it for maybe 6 or 7 plus years at this point.
Okay, so this next slide shows the CRA's funding of the city's tennis tournament over the years, and again, we will be funding $905,000 on that should you approve the budget, but that's the request.
All right, yes. So I'll jump into the CIP projects, the capital improvements. So we didn't have as many because we have some pretty large ones that we're going forward with. So we only have 4 of the major requests here. First one is Artist Alley drainage improvements. This is part of the 3rd Street improvements that we did. So we did the streetscape. If some of you remember, we had a major overhaul for the alleyway with some brick pavers going all throughout that was extremely expensive. So kind of revamped that to just look at redoing some drainage improvements and just redoing the street as is, but not doing the extra pavers because that was several $1 million of work. But the streetscape was finished on 3rd. The other is the Northwest Neighborhood Improvement Project. So this is going through design services right now. The city's asking for funds for next year for additional design services, but also for a federal grant writer to see if we can seek out some federal funds to help with the cost of this project. The cost estimates now are about $77 million. And that's today, but the project won't start for several years, so it may increase. So we're trying to see if we can get some federal dollars to offset. So we have added additional funds in here on top of what the city's asking for, because we will still have to come up with something at some point. So we wanted to start saving as we did for Pompey Park, so that when time comes, we will have hopefully quite a bit of funds saved up for this project. Hopefully we can get federal dollars. If not, we had talked with the city manager about possibly doing debt or taking out debt and us paying it back like we did for Federal Highway, but we're not there yet. So we're just trying to be proactive so that we're ready when the project is ready to go to construction. The next one is the Curry Commons restroom project. So this is in Osceola Park. It is in our budget this year, but it's not ready to go into construction. I believe that there's construction documents, but it hasn't gone out to bid. The amount is $390,250, but I know that there will be an ask for additional funds. I just don't have that now, but I believe it's a few $100,000 more, and I've asked the city to get that to us so we can assess that before we close out the budget. But otherwise, they would be tearing down the restrooms that are there, but they need to put them back. So, and then the last one is Pompey Park. The request from the city was, I believe, $27 million for next fiscal year to build the recreational center in phases. But we already had about 23 million, I believe, in our budget now. We would like to put 40 million in at this point, so we have it, and we don't have to think about it as much going forward. The cost estimates are about 44 million for Pompey Park. So if we have the 40, I think we're a good far ways along, and if we need to add more to it in the coming years, we can do that. But this way, we'll have Pompey Park pretty much funded almost fully. Questions?
Great. Any questions from the board?
No, the only thing, because you and I have spoken about it, and I just think it's important for planning purposes, long-term planning purposes. The Northwest Neighborhood Master Plan, you said, currently is, you're saying about 77 million. That number obviously it's probably not going to go down. Southwest Neighborhood.
Yes.
You have told me that it's definitely going to be north of $100 million.
Probably, yes.
And that would be next in the phase. So, it's just something to think about long term, probably long after all of us are on the CRA, is that we're saving for a $40 million project, which we've done successfully. It'll follow by a $77 to $80 million project, followed by
Over 100.
over $100 million project.
If I may.
Sure.
I also am concerned that we don't have anything, and I don't know if it's going to be showing up somewhere else, for Old School Square. I know we talked about doing something on the outside there, and I know that that's something that, even though we have kept the money pretty much in the areas of that were promised, I think it's time to start bleeding a little bit over so that we can spruce up the grounds and do some of the things that are needed. Doesn't have to be a big, huge budget, but I think anything will help, because we do have a lot of activity happening there. There's always, a need for possibly putting more hardscape in so that we can do more of the things like the festivals and things that are requiring that. Even the green market, which I know some people are asking us to move it even into another area, which we could do. But anyway, it just would make sense. So
500?
We have 5, yes. So
we do.
So currently in this year's budget, we had set aside $350,000, and we used a little bit of that for the lighting during the holiday period.
Yep.
The rest of it was supposed to be for other activities, but that would end up having to go through the Public Works Department. So this coming year, we're suggesting to put $500,000 in. I've had conversations with Missy and Public Works to look at the old master plan for the Old School Square, not to do everything because it was very expensive, but
absolutely.
some of the smaller things that we can accomplish. So that is in there for consideration for the budget.
I'm sorry I missed it, but anyway,
No, that's-
I just
no,
wanted to make
it's in
sure,
the
because I know that we
detail.
have a little bit of room, since we're not going to be spending that on Pompey Park. We might have wanted to extract out just a little bit this year and then re-put it in next year, but it sounds like you've already got the budget, so that's great.
Nope, we have it there.
Thank you.
The only thing we'll have to adjust, like I said, we have to look at the Curry Commons restroom, and there may have been one other capital project that I spoke with the Public Works Director about, but I just don't have the numbers yet.
Perfect.
But
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Any other questions, comments, concerns? Okay, seeing none, let's move on to 9A. It's update on CRA-owned properties for disposal.
Oh, wait.
We weren't done.
We're not
Oh,
done.
I thought we were done. That's what I said. Any
Oh,
comments?
no. No, I thought from the board. Yeah.
It's too many slides.
He's got a record to beat. He's got 6 minutes to beat his record.
I'm sorry. We're not hitting it today. I'm
One
sorry.
more. Please go ahead. I'm sorry.
Just one more. And it's revenue. This is
It's good. We're not going to skip over that.
right. Okay, so we receive through the city TIF revenue of $21,915,947. That's what's currently budgeted. I did want to point out that we allocated, which we pay back to the city, is $22,061,391, which is what we have budgeted. But included in that, we are receiving $450,000 of a reimbursable to be applied to the A-Guide expense that we will be putting out. And the $22 million that we give is in excess of what we receive, and it does represent 58% of the total TIF, which is 37.8 million, basically, which is the county and the city. That's it.
That's it for Gina.
That's it.
But then it's me. Back to me.
Back to Renee.
Back to me. So right here I wanted to highlight the A-Guide program. I sent emails about this, but we are looking at this as being a transitional year for the A-Guide program. The city was able to put aside our budget $450,000, but that's not the total cost of the A-Guide recipients, excluding the Community Land Trust, because they are housing at something that we can fund. So the other groups, it's just over $900,000. So since the city was able to budget $450,000, we were just proposing to have the A-Guide as the one more year, and we can close it out and start working with the city to make sure that they have things in place to be able to take on this type of a program, however it will look. Right. Here's just some images of the capital improvement projects. This is Pompey Park, Northwest neighborhood. So the this illustrates the streets and alleys that will be improved with the project. So you can see it's pretty substantial. It's the entire neighborhood. And then Curry Commons restroom. Okay, so on to CRA projects managed. So the Northwest neighborhood, the Northwest 600 block, this is where the William Hatcher building is on 6th. We own the properties right just west of that, and we had a bid out for a architect to design some type of mixed-use housing. We brought this to the board earlier this year, and then we said let's wait on that. But we've had $1.9 million in the budget pending what we end up doing with that. So you'll see that coming back at some point to discuss, but we would like to keep the funding in for that block just to see what happens and where we go with it. The next one is the Northwest 800 redevelopment. That's the container area. So mixed reviews, but the thing holding us back was the board was supportive of moving forward with the project was funding. The cost estimates were about $6 million. So we're proposing to budget maybe $7 million. Again, this might change depending on what the request from the city is. I don't think it's a lot, but we might need to shift some things around. But once we have the funds set aside, we can start looking to bid the project out. So we'll see that at some point in the future. And we'd like to put aside $5 million for acquisitions. We have $4 million in the budget currently. We just like to always keep that pretty strong, that we have enough funds in case an opportunity comes up, we can jump on it. And then lastly is the 95 Southwest 5th Avenue construction. That's what we just had the groundbreaking for. So a year from now, we'll be cutting the ribbon for that project and closing it out. Questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
Container project. So are there, well, I would like to see community involvement and some meetings to have some discussion about that. Because, I'm just, conversations with you and I about this being a temporary project. I'm just not setting well within my soul. So I'd like to have request that we have some community discussions about that 800 block.
Sure. So we had a few community meetings before, yes. But then the board was supportive of moving forward with it. We can put this on our list for discussion at one of our CRA socials, maybe. That'd be a good opportunity so we can share the renderings we have and what's happening with it and give a little more, I guess, background about it. we can do that.
And I think important is
That'll be a
to
start.
define temporary. It's not a pop-up. It's not a
Right.
year or two, but it's also not like the investment we're going to make across the street, which is a lifetime investment. It's 50, 75, 100 years. It's the buildings.
Right.
Where this could be for the next 5 years, it could activate an area. For the next 10 years, it can activate an area. But we're not making the same commitment that we are making across the street for 3 full blocks, which is pretty much a forever commitment. And I think it's a really good strategy. It's obviously in the set transformation plan to do something like this. So I think it's smart.
We'll have further discussion. Thank you.
So we'll put it on for our social topic and get some more input. We actually have the survey that we're presenting at that we'll have at Art and Jazz tomorrow. We're doing a little survey, get some community input on the 6, 7, 800 block, what people think about that, West Atlantic. So we want to start those conversations to see where West Atlantic is going, and we can get the feedback as our board and the city considers what's happening in that area, that we can also make sure we have the community involved too, because that's very important.
Great.
All right.
Well, I would also just, if I may, just add that, the container, I mean, I know that we were very high on that, and when we were discussing it, it's also, it's a way to be able to draw more activity into area, and it's a blank space. I mean, it's just a lot. So, and without having to put hundreds of millions of dollars
Right.
with some of these projects that are going in on the West Atlantic area. So it gives us that opportunity for almost a quick, place to start getting some activity in the West Atlantic before, without making that huge commitment. So anyway, I still support it. I know Commissioner Burns wants to bring in others and community. I think it's always important to do that, and I think it's great that of your suggestion, because I think that a lot of this there's a lot of unknown about it in the community, and I think that we really need to get out there and put it out there so people understand what's happening.
Absolutely.
So I agree.
Also, if you think about some of the developments we've done on Fifth, we started those years ago because we were also trying to develop elsewhere with the private sector. So we said, well, we have some lots, we have some buildings, we have funds, which is not all CRAs do, so we're really fortunate in that regard. So now that we have those projects that are underway, we actually have activation at something that's reasonable for us. Because if we were to build something large there, it could be several tens of millions of dollars as opposed to maybe 5 or 6, hopefully, that we can manage. And that's what the cost of 98 Northwest 5th, 95. Those projects are all under $5 million, which is doable for us in our budget. That doesn't take away from other projects. But if we start going into the tens for some of these bigger buildings, it's going to take away from what we are able to do. So that's why I think it's more of it's a easier bite for us to be able to do as opposed to these larger ones.
Agreed.
But we will have it on our social, absolutely. Yes. Okay. Next, we have, this is something we discussed last year, the park by Carver Square. Last year we didn't go forward with it, but we wanted to bring it back to see if we can go ahead and do this. I've spoken with Sam in Parks and Rec, and he's absolutely on board to get a really nice playground, shade structure, redo the fencing there and the landscaping. Okay, and we still obviously have the Arts Warehouse programming going on, and Green Market as well. We have the tentative dates for Crafted on the Avenue up here too. Okay, a couple little things that I wanted to bring up to the board. These things are in our budget, just not specifically spelled out all the time, and I just wanted to share them during this presentation. So the Carver Square homes that were recently completed, it came to our attention recently that there is a fire hydrant that's in the backyard of one of the homes. It could have been moved to the right-of-way, but it wasn't. It was kept in the backyard with an easement. So because there was an easement, there's a mailbox cluster that was also placed in that easement in the backyard. So the owner of the home was contacting the city and us to say, hey, I have all this stuff in my backyard, and he can't really fence around it. So we were looking at possibly seeing if we could move the hydrant, and it would help the area too, and the homes, because people are going through his backyard to get to the mailbox, not just that easement area. So he just was asking if there's anything that we can do. So I told him I'll bring it up to the board and see. This is something we can maybe discuss in the future, but he's been consistently reaching out to find out if there's something we can do. And it wasn't moved during the project. It was an option, but the option was selected to leave it on the yard with the easement. So something to think about for the future.
What is the cost to move it, number one? And number two, how far into the property is it?
We don't have the cost yet, so we would look into it just as a preliminary and see. It's a couple feet into it. The easement is pretty large, and the mailbox is placed in the middle of the easement. So he was even saying if the hydrant could be moved, he can move the mailbox out further so people aren't, coming so close to where his yard is, because those lots aren't extremely large. So something to look into. This would obviously be like a bigger agenda item, but it's something that I wanted to do some research on to see if we could help this. And I also contacted the city to see if it could be a curb appeal project, but this isn't really spelled out in curb appeal. But my thought was if it wouldn't exceed the amount of curb appeals, which is 15,000, maybe it's something we could look at or do some sort of modified curb appeal to help this family. Next, we've been in discussion with the city about accessory dwelling units and possibly looking at LDR amendments with the city to accommodate that in the set area. In particular, would be the first area in the city that would have LDR amendments to allow this. Next is CRA maintenance. So we would like to paint the exterior of our original building, the Monterey House, and look at air conditioning maintenance and repair in the crawl space. Right now, all of our AC ducts and everything are underneath the building. And I think there's things that have been happening that we need to probably look at bringing it up for safety reasons. There's just a lot happening in the area, so we need to get our AC and everything out. I believe probably when that house was moved, that was the appropriate building style. Our new home has all the AC ducts inside, so we want to try to see if we can make that happen without it being too costly. Next is we also need to look at maintenance at the Arts Warehouse. We have some of the AC units need to be replaced, and repair some of the flooring that was poured on the second floor needs to be actually re-poured. So that's going to be a pretty large project that we're going to look at how we can remedy that situation. And also we want to try to improve the parking lot that's on Southwest 5th Avenue that we own, that goes between 4th and 5th. That's it. That's all I have.
Any questions before we move on?
I took a lot of time.
So for the ADU duplex amendments, will the Affordable Housing Board be included on those discussions?
I'll speak with the city. I believe that there were 3 consultants that the Development Services Director was looking at seeking quotes from, but we haven't really worked out the process. We've been discussing about having like a citizen input panel or something, because it's going to be specifically for the set, but it hasn't been fleshed out yet. I'm meeting with Anthea in a couple weeks to go over it.
Okay. Include the Affordable Housing Board in
I'll bring that up to her.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments, concerns? Are we allowed to move to 9A?
Yes.
Okay, 9A, update on CRA owned properties for disposal. Kim, it's finally your turn.
A couple minutes.
Kim Fong, legal advisor. So on March 29th, 2023, Senate Bill 102, known as the Live Local Act, was signed into law and became effective on July 1st, 2023. So it amended some of the statutes, and the language states that by October 1st of 2023 and every 3 years thereafter, every county and municipality shall prepare an inventory list of all real property within its jurisdiction to which the county or municipality or any dependent special district, which is a CRA, within its boundary holds fee simple title, which is appropriate for use as affordable housing. So staff has reviewed the CRA-owned properties and determined that the CRA owns the following properties, which are potentially, I think we have to move forward. So this is a map of the properties that the CRA staff has looked at too, that can be used as affordable housing. If you want. So there's 10 properties. Did you? Yep, there's 10 properties. So staff is seeking authorization to update the CRA GIS property map, which we already have on our website with all the CRA properties, with the potential properties for disposal and for potential use as affordable housing. In the next few months, staff will present a request for proposal to dispose of the above referenced properties in accordance with the new legislation, Chapter 163.
So So I'll go through some of these. Some of them were recently acquired. Property number 1, we just closed a couple of months ago. So there's work we would need to do before it's actually ready, because if you see it has some kind of an alley or that odd shape there. So we were looking at obviously dividing it to where there are lots where we could build homes on them. But the alley piece, we could see if there's a way to somehow transfer. I'm not quite sure. I have to talk to Kim about it, but how we would dispose of that piece of it, because we can't use that. And we confirmed with the city, an alley cannot be built there because it only goes through half the block. Properties 2, 3, and the 4, we own 2. We recently acquired 3 and 4 through that was the Hagwood lots that we had purchased late last year. And we are still going, I think we had to correct some things with the addresses, so there's still a little bit of work there, but once that's ready, we can put that out as well. And property number 5, we've owned for a very long time. There was an encroachment from a neighboring property owner that was resolved. I believe there was actually a lawsuit on that property with the title, and it's been all cleared now, so that property can be sold. Property number 6, we purchased, I believe 2 or 3 years ago, but we need to split the lot. So the property on the left-hand side, we can look to split that. The property on the right has a pretty deep curb cut, so I don't know if we can have that as a buildable lot, but we'll research that and see if that could be buildable. So like I said, there's a little bit of work to do, but we would like to at least code these, that they could be used for affordable housing at some point while we do this work, and we have that available for the city, that they can link that to their website so they're complying with the statute, and then we can look to do this work to get them ready to bid.
Please.
So these are so the ones that are not individual lots will be separated into individual lots.
Yes, we would like to do that before we put it out to bid. We've done it before where we transfer it as is, but I think we should just do the work and get the addresses set so we know what we're putting out there and not having someone else do it.
Okay, so will these lots be available to individuals who are, let's say, they've been income qualified with the county for housing?
So typically we put these out to bid for the nonprofit affordable housing developers in Delray Beach. We haven't done it for individuals. We do go through the nonprofits because they're deed restricted. If it's the community land trust, they're in the land trust, so the land's retained. But we've also worked with the Habitat for Humanity that's bid these, and they're also deed restricted when we put those out.
Is that policy?
We can change it. I mean, that's something the board would have to discuss, but this is typically how we've done that, so we can ensure that the homes are deed restricted for housing, affordable housing.
Okay.
So.
Any other questions?
But this will come back. This is not putting anything out at this point. This is just putting a code onto our website saying that these could be used for affordable housing. Also, we didn't look at anything on Atlantic Avenue or first or second block. This is all further out.
Just have a question.
Sure.
Are we required to put that out for bid?
Yes, so we have to put it out to bid by statute.
Okay. Why would we why would we have to put it out for bid? I mean, do we have to accept the bids?
No, we don't. No, we don't. So in the statute, there's a section for disposition of property within the CRA statute. Right. So we just have to follow that procedure, and then it comes to the board.
It seems so cumbersome to have to go through this whole thing if we choose that. You know, maybe we're deciding that we're going to be aggregating some land, and we are not going to put it into affordable housing. Is the government? State government requiring us to now put that? No. So these are all just zoned residentially.
Okay.
So we didn't look at any that are commercially zoned. So that we have a few single lots closer to Atlantic on like 12th on the southwest side that we didn't include because they're commercially zoned. Mm-hmm. And some of them are together. So we didn't include those because those could end up being commercial. These are only ones that could be for affordable housing because they're into the interior. They're more infill lots.
Right.
So.
Okay.
And we don't have to do this now. We could table this and look at it a little bit further. We just have a certain time to do it by, and it's not yet, right?
It's October 1st.
You have to do it by October. Oh, it's October. Okay.
So
we
it
can
just
bring it back
needs,
next month.
right? It just needs to be available in the inventory
Right.
if it's can be potentially used for affordable housing. But we don't have to do like a bid or anything yet. We don't have to put it out. We just have to put it like on the inventory list that, hey, there's potential for this.
I got
Right.
you.
It would
Yeah.
come back before anything happens. So we were looking at the lots to do the subdividing and all, but again, all of that would come back to the board.
Understood.
Right.
Okay.
Not totally understood. So the state is, the Live Local is requiring us to identify properties that could be potentially used for affordable housing. But yeah, I'm hearing, but we don't really have to do it.
No, we just have to identify it.
You
We don't have to
don't have
put
to
it
bid.
out yet.
Right, because
Yeah.
say there could be, like I said, we only did the ones that were residentially zoned in infill. We didn't look at anything more on the commercial. But say we looked at the lots that are on Atlantic Avenue, more into the commercial area. We could say these are could be affordable housing. They could not be. It's just that there's a potential there for this to be used for housing. So if anyone comes to us and says, "What lots do you have for affordable housing?" we can just direct them to our website and say,
And
"Here
these
they
are
are."
the 10 that are selected.
Right. At this point, we just have these 10 that we looked at because they were far from
Okay.
Atlantic Avenue.
And in residential.
Exactly. They're all residential. We didn't
And
look
we
at
have
anything.
to do this every 3 years.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Now we do. We didn't have to before. It was just changed. Yeah.
It's a good thing, in my opinion.
Oh yeah. No, it's great. It's helpful when people contact us. But we do try to put out our lots quite frequently. We used to have a ton more than this that we put out, but because of the cost of lots, it's difficult to get them. So we've been able to, gather these 10. They're not perfect, obviously. There's work that has to be done, but it's something that we can do and it's helpful.
Okay.
All right.
Any other things on this item?
Oh, so this is an action item. So we're asking for authorization for CRA staff to update the CRA GIS a property map with potential properties for disposal for potential use as affordable housing.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Boylston,
Yes.
Commissioner Long,
Yes.
Chair Frankel,
Yes.
Vice Chair Burns,
Yes.
and Deputy Vice Chair Petrolia.
Yes.
Great. Motion passes 5-0. Let's move on to item 9B, 700 West Atlantic Avenue tenants.
All right. So 700 West Atlantic. We own this property. There are several tenants there. We received a grant from the Solid Waste Authority last year to demolish the building because it's something that we have in the plans to demolish when there's a structure there that's ready to be built. But we were able to receive a grant, so we won't have to pay for the demolition. So we originally asked for the tenants to vacate by August 31st. But not everyone's ready to vacate. This is where William Hatcher's office is, and he's still in the process of getting his building up and ready across the street. So we're looking to extend the date for the tenants to vacate to October 30th. That I will believe will allow everyone time to find an adequate place elsewhere, and we can move forward with the project.
Questions, comments?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Long,
Yes.
Chair Frankel,
Yes.
Vice Chair Burns,
Yes.
Deputy Vice Chair Petrolia,
Yes.
and Commissioner Boylston.
Yes.
Passes 5-0. Item 9C, Renee's annual review.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Christine Tibbs, Assistant Director. So it's that most wonderful time of year again. Per the CRA Executive Director's original employment agreement that's dated June 14th, 2019, the CRA Board shall engage in an annual performance evaluation of the CRA Director on an annual basis for the purpose of recommending any compensation and benefit adjustments for the ensuing year. The CRA Board approved a first amendment on September 29th, 2020, a second amendment on August 31st, 2021, and a third amendment September 1st, 2022. At this time, per the Executive Director's agreement, it is now her annual performance evaluation being brought forth before the Board.
Great. To the board, any questions or comments?
No.
Was it an overall exceeds expectations, meets expectations?
I had sent out, I guess, a consolidated everybody's evaluation form. I think all of you had only great things to say about Renee. I don't want to speak for anybody. If you want to, jump in and, say what you wanted to say. I think in previous years, she's gotten an increase between 6% and 7%, if you want to take that into consideration this year.
To the board.
This is a little bit different than at the city, where we kind of have a policy that aligns to the average rating.
I would pick right in between 6.5%. I think that's
Okay.
I think that it shows that we're very happy, and I'm thrilled. I mean, I think that you've done a tremendous job since you've been here. It was a marked difference. I've been with both, or maybe it was 2, maybe 3. But anyway, I think you've handled things that were very, very difficult with finesse and with professionalism, and I have no complaints. So
Thank you.
I would recommend 6.5.
Yep, and I would second that.
Okay, just one comment before we take a vote on this. Renee, in my view, you do a great job, but it's important to also give credit to the team that you've assembled. You all are amazing. You all, exceed expectations in my view. So while we're just talking about the executive director, I just wanted to put on the record, I just think all you ladies and gentlemen, even you, Ivan, in the back, you guys just do a great job, and we're, as a city, just very, very happy and excited and fortunate to have you all.
And I would have to say, I 100% behind Chair in saying that, and would have to say that without your support team, I'm not so sure that it would be the same conversation. So, I mean, that goes to who you have working with you. And that comes to you also. You pick good people, and they stick with you and support, and I'm telling you, it makes a difference from the top down.
Thank you.
Yeah, because you built that,
Oh,
And,
yes. We went through some things.
You have a fantastic,
Yes, you did.
fantastic culture, and it's something I know that Terrence and I discuss when we talk about when he was on board. What type of culture he should be looking at, and it's the one that you've been creating over there. So, not only are you heading our CRA, which is building things all over the CRA districts, but you've built a great team, and you've built a nice little new headquarters.
Thank you.
Out of a historic building as well. On top of that, so it's pretty incredible how much you guys have been able to get done, and the relationships that you helped rebuild in the community with the CRA.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other comments before we go to a roll call?
Same thing. I mean, I gave you raving reviews, and I think I made comments about your team as well. So, congratulations.
Thank you.
Motion to.
I'm sorry. I just want to add a quick
No,
comment.
right.
When Commissioner Burns and I were at the FRA conference in Tampa, our professor literally said that Renee is one of the best in the state. So
you go.
we have a famous CRA director here. So I haven't spent a ton of time with you guys yet, but it seems like you're an incredible leader. Your department does a really great job. So I feel like I'll just echo the comments of my colleagues.
Thank you.
Great work. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think there's been a motion.
No, I don't think we did that yet. Motion to approve a 6.5.
Oh, yeah, I seconded it.
Yeah.
Oh, you did?
Because I said open up for
Oh, okay.
comments.
Very good.
I finally got something right.
All right, there you go.
I'm sorry, before
Please.
you guys finalize, I just wanted to make sure that in your motion that you make it retroactive to June 29th, if that's something that you would like to consider. We just need that on the
Yep.
record.
As amended, yep.
Second.
Second is amended. Please call the roll.
Chair Frankel?
Yes.
Vice Chair Burns?
Yes.
Deputy Vice Chair Petrolia?
Yes.
Commissioner Boylston?
Yes.
And Commissioner Long?
Yes.
Great. Passes 5-0.
Easily.
On to other business. 10A, comments by our excellent executive director.
I'll be quick. Well, thank you very much. I love being here. I love working with you all and our staff. It took some time to work through and get the right team, but everyone works extremely well together. I'm so grateful to be here in this position and have the crew that we have, and our board. You all are amazing to support what we're doing and having faith in us to keep this ship going. So thank you all very much. That's not it.
That's not it?
Also, thank you to all who attended the ribbon cutting for our 98 Northwest 5th Avenue building. The next phase of this project will be to get tenants for the bottom floor. We have applicants. We're reviewing them. So you'll see that coming before you very soon. We also have the shared workspace or co-working space on the second floor that we are going through a bid process, and you will see that as well. And once we have those tenants, we'll go through the signage package. We haven't done that yet, so we'll do the signage. I mentioned before that we'll look at the naming of the building to see if we want to, have some incorporating the previous owners of the building. We've been there a really long time. I think it would be a nice thing to do, but we'll do that as we go through the signage package process.
Is that the Sticks family? Is that what
There's the Sticks family, Edmund, Baines. We found quite a bit. We worked with the, actually Michelle Hoyland in the historic preservation and got some history on the building, even the original building permits when the building was built, which is kind of cool. So we'll bring that to the board shortly. Next, tomorrow is Art and Jazz. Ivan has the survey that we're going to pass out. We would like to take this as an opportunity to get input from the community and start having, like I said, conversations about West Atlantic, what we want to see as development going forward. So we'll have a little CRA area. We are helping to fund this initiative with the DDA on West Atlantic area as an outreach for the CRA. Thank you. Right, and we also have Crafted on the Avenue, where we'll have some vendors there from 1 to 5 on September 9th. And we also wanted to show the upcoming board meeting schedule. We moved the A-Guide workshop to September because we gave the applicants a little bit of extra time to submit their applications. So you'll notice that shifted to September 28th. Also, I emailed this out about the joint CRA and city workshop to discuss West Atlantic properties. So we have a CRA social that's taking place on October 19th, but I would like to possibly shift that to before this workshop so that we can get some community input on just potential for West Atlantic before the workshop, so you'll have that going into the workshop meeting. So we'll work on that. We'll probably have that out for you guys tomorrow, but we would like to move that social.
Will you be sharing some of the initial sketches or massing, I should say, from Curry, Soward, and Aguilar?
Yes, definitely. Yes. We'll have that. I guess now we'll have the containers on there. So we will. I think that started at 6. Maybe we'll shift it a little bit earlier because it might go a little longer, so we can have people coming in. We want to really give for people as much opportunity as they can to come in and start the conversation. It's only the beginning. Nothing has happened. I think it's really important to note that there's nothing moving forward at all at this point. We're just getting input. Even with the workshop, it's an opportunity for every commissioner to speak freely as CRA members and city commissioners about the future of West Atlantic, because we have a lot of properties that are all kind of next to each other. So I don't think we should look at one individual alone. We really have to take it as an area and not just parcel by parcel.
Well, yeah, and I think just detailing our strategy this time, the last 2 times for the 600, 700, 800 block has been more of a put it out to the market, right, blank slate, and we're taking a different approach this time.
Exactly.
Right? We're actually kind of doing it as a community, the designing to a point. Right. Of what's going to go, and then we go out and find someone to build it. And I think that's important to communicate that we're shifting that strategy.
Definitely. And I've actually looked at some bids from other CRAs that have that in there. They actually have, here's our ideal, so you can do this, beat this, or better, but we don't want anything less than this standard. So I think that's what we're looking at doing. But again, nothing has happened. We haven't done anything. We need consultants. That's why we have them to help us get our ideas on paper, because we can't actually draw it ourselves. That's all we're doing, is just having someone help us put things together that we can start having some community conversation. So we'll move the social to allow for that. And I'll speak with the city to see if there's any participation we can have, since it will be a joint workshop, that maybe they can join the social as well with us.
Great idea.
All right. And then the rest of the meetings are listed there through next February. And RAC. So on our consent agenda today was the Redevelopment Advisory Committee. So we discussed this at our last meeting, so if anyone wants to view the presentation, it's on our website. But at today's meeting, we approved starting this with the resolution. So we are seeking to start taking applications starting September 1st through October 31st. It's online, but if you would like hard copies, they're available at our office, and all the details will be on our website.
All right, great.
All right.
And you're planning for probably the first meeting to start in the new year.
Yes, so we have this closing October. We'll have a kind of like a pre-submission meeting somewhere in September so people can come and ask questions. We're always available, but we would like to have an open meeting for people to ask questions. And we'll bring this to our November board meeting for appointments, and then we are seeking to start in January.
Yeah.
Very good.
Great. Excellent. I like it, RAC.
Thank you, yes.
Thank you.
All right.
Our board attorney, any comments?
No comment.
Wonderful. Now to comments from the board commissioners. Mr. Boylston,
Nah,
anything?
I don't want to disappoint you, so I'm good.
Any comments?
I'm done.
Any comments?
None.
We can get it by 5.
Well, I have one comment.
Oh,
Because,
1 minute.
well, obviously I had a poor experience Sunday afternoon, but I had a good experience on Sunday when I was watching from the great state of Ohio. A young lady by the name of Coco Goff was
Champion.
of the WTA 1000 event. I was texting with a Miss Odom over the weekend, but congratulations, great going into the U.S. Open, and we're all rooting for you and your family. So, yeah. Of course, no, I'm number one, absolutely, and it's 4:59.
You did it.
Meeting adjourned.
You got it out in less than a minute.
I had to.
Wow, good deal.
That was impressive.